sorry, that's for a Democrat show.
No matter what the technical difficulty is, this man is a professional. He goes all the way.
What you represent to them is freedom.
Was an extremely great conservative commentator. We're tearing it up on Wednesday night. This is awesome. This will allow me to retort.
Well, this is Jersey Joe for the Reaver Common Sense Show. 8 p.m. on shrmedia.com.
This show contains language that some viewers may find offensive. Listener discretion is advised. And now on to the show. And welcome to the Reaver of Common Sense. I am your host, Jersey Joe. How's everybody doing today? Again, I am Jersey Joe. I am making sense out of the senseless, or at least I am trying my best. The Jersey Takeover is here. We have expanded to 2 hours every Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Remember to join the live chat. Just go to shrmedia.com, click on the chat room button, join the conversation. If you want to watch a broadcast of the show, go to Reaver.one, click on the live stream. And I'm right there. So today, we'll be going on with part 2 of the Reaver of Common Sense special show on the global warming cold. Yesterday, I spent the whole show talking about some of the fraudulent data NOAA and NASA. NSA. Whew. Can you say the mines in other places right now? And it talked about that fraudulent data that the NOAA and NASA has passed on to the American people, saying that there is a global warming, when in fact there is not. There's been no warming. There's been no cool. In fact, there's been a little bit of cooling. Man-made global warming is a scam. It is a money-making scam that the USA, we spend 22.2. That's $22.2 billion with a B, $billion a year. We don't spend that much on securing our border. Worldwide, it's $359 billion a year. That is why I call it a cult or a scam, Ponzi scheme, whatever way you want to put it. It's a redistribution of wealth. It is a farce. It is called weather. Weather changes. Weather does not stay consistent. Sometimes it's hotter, sometimes it's colder year to year. We've had scientists who have dug through different layers of the earth and have been able to tell when they hit a warm spot, cold, so forth and so on. We also discussed Attorney General Loretta Lynch and her attempt to charge. She has referred it to the FBI for charging global warming deniers, mostly corporations. But if they can get away with the corporation, you know what's next. And what the problem is they can't lie enough to us. We've caught on to the lies. We've proven the lies. So now to try to force this even further down their throat, they're trying to bring a legal step to charge people with denying that there's no man-made global warming. So they're trying to do it through force now. And it's still not working. I'm not the only one. There's God knows how many others out there that are doing the same thing that I do, that are speaking out against it. Does that mean we should do away with all regulations, start polluting, doing whatever we want? No. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is we don't have to go to such extreme measures that everyday people can't afford to live at that point. And an analogy I told yesterday, and I've used it time and time again, the global warming cult, we have stubbed our toe, so to speak. We've stubbed our toe. The ones that know that global warming is a farce, is a scam, is a fraudulent entity within itself, say, yes, we've stubbed our toe, but we need to be careful where we walk. We need to be careful what pollutants we put in the air, so forth and so on. We need to watch our carbon footprint. And I will agree with that. We need to be careful on what we do. Now, the global warming cult members, they want to chop off the leg because they stubbed their toe. It does not make sense to me to go to such extremes. It's nothing more with the green energy at this point, because a lot of it's not ready technologically to produce as much energy as nuclear or coal or hydro. They can't keep up. Now, all of them, and even the windmills, the hydros, they all have pros and they all have cons. They all have their issues where it's going to affect something. The hydro dams were going to be affecting the migration of certain aquatic species. The windmills, well, we know what's going on. The birds see it and they go flying in there, and it's instant slice and dice of, whatever bird that flies in there, it kills it. There is a thermal production where there's mirrors surrounding this whole building, and they all converge on one point on the building, and it heats it up. I believe it heats up the water, causing steam, causing a generator to move, so forth and so on. But what happens is that bright light attracts birds. They come flying in. They go through the light beams and are cooked instantly and killed instantly. So you have one group complaining about that. No matter which way we go, there's going to be another group complaining. What we have to find is one that is in the middle, that is not causing a financial difficulty to anybody, and is relatively safe for the environment. When people see these coal burning generators, they see that white plume coming out, and they immediately think that is pollution. When in fact, that is nothing more than basically steam. That's pretty much it. There's slight pollution. Your car gives off probably 100 times more than what's in those stacks. All right, I may be exaggerating a little bit, but they are not polluting to the point that you've been led to believe. Nowhere near what you've been led to believe. It's the alarming cost of climate change hysteria. Climate change spending won't slow anytime soon. Not so long as the current Obama policy prevail. A proposed $1,328 million, this was back in the fiscal year of 2012 budget, for its global climate initiative, aimed at helping developing countries address man-made global warming problems that we have allegedly caused, represented a 557% increase since the fiscal year of 2008. Back then it was $202 million. All this is I've said it before, say it again. It is a redistribution of wealth that's hidden behind the message of we got to save the planet because we're making it warm. The temperature's going down. That's global warming. No matter what happens, no matter what, they are going to say it was caused by global warming. It gets hot, global warming. It gets cold, global warming. A hurricane hit, global warming. Thunder hit, global warming. We go into a drought, global warming. What I don't understand is they're claiming that all these bodies of water here and there that are drying up is because of global warming. There has been, throughout history of the world, areas that were covered in water that are no longer covered in water. It's a cycle. That's what happened. The earth is ever changing. The ground is ever changing. So just because you have lakes that may be drying up does not mean it's man-made. There's been many, many lakes that have dried up over the thousands of years of this planet. Thousands, millions. It's just ridiculous. And I can't believe people actually buy into this. We have given way to common sense to hysteria. We've given way to common sense for people to have this warm, fuzzy feeling inside that they're doing something, that they're a part of something. And I love to see when they go and do their little protests and their little rallies. And they pull loot left, right, and center. They do not care They do not care about the earth. They care about being part of a organization, being part of a protest. These people, most of them are very smart people, and they've been suckered into this cult. And the waste of money that goes on in this cult is absolutely ridiculous. And it shows how desperate they are and how much of a battle they are losing that they now have to threaten legal actions. That's how bad the global warming scam is falling apart. It's the threads are coming apart one by one. The data manipulation is falling apart. We're finding out more and more about the lies that have been told. The computer models that failed time and time and time and time again. That all their predictions have failed time and time and time again. When do we go from it's global warming to this is what we need to do to protect? We need to do sensible laws. Not send us back to the Stone Age. And that's the other thing that I laugh about. You get all these people, they hold these rallies, and they have all these celebrities come in, and I talked about it yesterday, and you have all of them flying in on their private jets, polluting the hell out of the air. They're on their iPhones and so forth, going on. They're on their tablets, which all are pollutants. Whether it's the energy consumption that it uses, yes, there's a battery, but that battery has to be charged somehow, which means you have to plug it into a socket and you need electricity. And then when it breaks, or you want the next latest, greatest one, you throw it away. It goes into a landfill. And then you claim that you hate capitalism. That's the funniest one with these people. We hate capitalism. I'm going to tweet that out. The irony. So, I also want to give a reminder. I said it real quick, but I want to remind everybody that I do have live stream of the show now. And I had to play around, and it's kind of messing with lighting and all that, but I put this Arctic background. Because how ridiculous it is with these people. I think it was 2012. They send an expedition to the Antarctic to prove that the ice is receding, melting at an alarming rate. And their ship got stuck in excessive ice. Okay, it happens, even when it's thinning. They sent in the icebreakers. They had to turn around. They almost got stuck. The world's biggest icebreaker was sent there to get them out. It had to turn around and leave. Not only was there a record amount, the thickness was some of the worst thickness of ice they have seen. They had to leave their ship there. They had to be flown out by helicopter because they got trapped in ice on an expedition that they were going to do to prove that the ice was melting. And then couldn't have the balls or the guts or the cojones, however you want to put it, to admit that they were wrong. So this past winter, they were supposed to do another trip. But they had to cancel again because of excessive amount of ice that they wouldn't be able to get to where they were going to prove that the ice is melting and retreating. Then NASA sends out a report and there's more ice. It's up, 25%. And of course, the person that wrote the paper on it, I knew the deniers were going to use it to their advantage. No, we're not using it to our advantage. We're showing the truth. It's there. The polar bears are not drowning like Al Gore predicted. It's not anywhere near what Al Gore or all the rest predicted. We're doing fine. It's called Mother Nature. And that's my response when all that. When you get talking to you. And I try not to get into the discussion with them. It's not because I believe in discussion. But these people are so hardwired. The facts could smack them in the head. And they still would not recognize that they got hit in the head. They are so ingrained in their way of thought that it's going to take something extravagant to prove them wrong. But you really can't, because everything that happened or happens is because of global warming. It's hard to argue and prove your case when everything, if it cools, it's global warming. Hot, as I went through. Tornadoes, everything, tsunamis, earthquakes. It's all because of global warming. But what isn't global warming is you're listening to the Reaver of Common Sense right here on shrmedia.com, hbpundit.com, and rebootingliberty.com, and now on youtube.com. Be right back.
listening to the SHR Media Network.
You have been listening to Reaver Common Sense, hosted by my dad, Jersey Joe. Beware, the Jersey Takeover is here. Every Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can catch the Reaver Common Sense Show, hosted by Jersey Joe, right here on shrmedia.com and highplainsdailynews.com. Only Jersey can deliver hell like no one else, so consider this your fair warning.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians,
You got a business. That you didn't build that.
a team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean.
Dude, I'm not saying cop for the stupid pro.
Sackhead Clint.
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
Also starring Sacco as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, 'cause I'm drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on shrmedia.com.
Every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, it is the Reaver After Dark, hosted by Jersey Boys, Jersey Joe, and Jersey Crash, right here on shrmedia.com and highplainsdailynews.com.
Times are dark. The people misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation in confusion needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, High Plains Talk Radio, Live Rebooting Liberty, and YouTube for a unique brand of commentary on the unpleasant blind guide. Because truth is not always pleasant.
If you missed any of the Reaver of Common Sense or Reaver After Dark show,
I don't want to be me. I don't want to be me anymore.
just go to Reaver.one. While you're there, click the like button so you can keep up with everything Reaver. Now, back to the show.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
This show contains language that some viewers may find offensive. Listener discretion is advised. And now on to the show. And welcome back to the Reaver of Common Sense. I am your host, Jersey Joe, making sense out of the senseless. The Jersey Takeover is here. We have expanded to 2 hours every Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you want to join the live chat, go to shrmedia.com, click on the chat room button, join the conversation. If you want to watch a live stream of the show, go to Reaver.one, click on the live stream. I know that's a lot of web addresses to remember, but you can pick one of those SHR Media to listen, or if you want to watch, you can go to Reaver.one. I'm holding a GoFund donation, and I'm going to put it up on the webpage, Reaver.one. I'm trying to raise just a little bit of money to try to help offset the costs. I need to get some new equipment for the video. It's taking a little bit more computer power than I thought it would, so if you can help out, I'd appreciate it. If not, I've been funding this show for 2 years out of pocket. I have no sponsors, no nothing. Nobody tells me what to say. I say what I want to say. Which goes to Obama and his administration and they have this undying need that they have to kill businesses in the name of green living, in the name of the climate change. And there's the matter of those escalating climate premised EPA regulation costs that are killing businesses and jobs under cover of the Clean Air Act, which has also been knocked down by the Supreme Court because of what it does to the businesses. It was costing too much money for these businesses to enact these EPA regulations. And that is not the government's job. The government overstepped, and I don't care whether it was Obama, Bush, Reagan, George Washington himself. Overstepping, killing jobs and businesses for this farce. He's just gone too far with it. And when I hear Democrats making the statement that climate change is more dangerous than ISIS, well, I haven't seen climate change behead anybody. It's their way of trying to divert people worrying about ISIS and trying to push this farce onto other people. But these rampant overreaches are being justified by the agency's endangerment finding proclaiming CO2 to be a pollutant. CO2, it's what we expel ourselves. It's also what the plants need to survive. It's also, there has been no warming. And the findings ignored on contrary conclusion in the EPA's own internal study on climate that, given the downward trend in temperatures since 1998, which some think will continue until at least 2030, there is no particular reason to rush into decisions based upon a scientific hypothesis that does not appear to explain most of the available data. I have no idea. I woke up, I was fine. I got up early. I'm in Florida. We have primaries today. I went out. I actually got up early, went out, voted, came back. And about a half hour before the show, I was talking to my wife, and all of a sudden, I just got that little frog in the throat. And it's like, God dang it. I just got over being sick a couple weeks ago. The Small Business Administration estimates that compliance with such regulation costs the U.S. economy more than $1.75 trillion per year, about 12 to 14% of the GDP, and half of the $3.456 trillion Washington is currently spending. The Competitive Enterprise Institute believes the annual cost is closer to $1.8 trillion, when it estimated $55.4 billion. Regulatory administration and policy budget is included. This is absolutely crazy. The amount of money we spend, and it's Mother Nature. How egotistical do you have to be? This planet's been around for millions and millions and millions of years. It's adapted. It's changed. I consider the Earth sort of like a plant. It's alive, but it's not alive. It knows how to take care of itself. It knows how to adjust itself. Again, that doesn't mean we run around hectic trying to destroy the planet. But at the same time, doing these regulations, and at the same time, how much carbon footprint is created by doing all this? The wasted paper, the electricity putting into creating all this. I don't understand it. It is a huge economical scam on the people. We were forced to abandon incandescent light bulbs in favor of compact fluorescent features containing mercury. We were forced to bring in a highly poisonous substance into our home. And by regulations, if you were to break one of those light bulbs, you just release mercury into your house. And if you look, that is grounds for calling EPA, hazmat teams, and all that. They forced us to go to an unsafe and dangerous light bulb. Now, the market has jumped ahead and is creating now these LED light bulbs, which are a hell of a lot better. The price was kind of high. The price is now coming down, though. And the other part of these compact fluorescent features light bulbs, which contain mercury, where are they going to when they break, when they burn out? They are heading to a landfill, which then will allow that mercury to seep into water supply. Mercury is a heavy metal that does not get expelled from the human body. And if anybody's heard the term Mad Hatter, it's not just an Alice in Wonderland. It is a way to describe a crazy person. Because what that comes from is many, many light years, maybe not light years, but you know what I mean, many moons ago, when they made hats, and to get them nice and stiff, they would put mercury into it. Well, these hat makers would be inhaling all that mercury over time. And over time, they would go crazy. Hence, Mad Hatter, because they were hat makers, and they went mad. Because of mercury poisoning. And now they want us using these lights predominantly, and all this is going to be going into our landfills, which is going to cause more pollution. The EPA rushed the utility rules through, allowing only a 60 days for public comment rather than the basic practice of 120 to 180 days, and overstating U.S. mercury emissions by a factor of 1,000 in the process. Even the agency admits that the rules will continue and cost $10.9 billion annually. The International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, and usually a White House ally, says it will directly destroy 50,000 jobs and 200,000 more down the supply line. all in the name of global warming. Because, yes, these incandescents use less energy, but they are more expensive. They cause more pollution. And they endanger thousands of people every day. All because our government thought to take away incandescent light bulbs because they use up a little bit more energy. Putting people in danger is not an excuse. I don't care what the reason is. You're putting people in danger. The EPA has also recently announced new environmental guidelines that will essentially end surface mountaintop mining in a 6-state region centered on the Appalachia that produced more than 10% of the U.S. coal back in 2008 and employed nearly 20,000 people. You know, we know what has happened to that. And if anybody was paying attention, Hillary Clinton had a little rally and she, and quote, "We're going to put a lot of miners and coal companies out of business." We're going to get to that one next. It floors me. That this has been a systematic destruction of our infrastructure without having anything to replace it. Then they complain when the Republicans want to do away with Obamacare, and well, there's nothing to replace it. You've had nothing worthwhile to replace the light bulbs. It's taken several years for it to catch up. And as I said, Supreme Court has already smacked Obama's hand several times and the EPA's because it caused a severe economical employment impact because of its initiatives. And they didn't care, and they don't look at that. They're going beyond their reach. And that's what I see happening more and more and more with the government. Every year, they reach a little bit more. You have in California where they want, or Colorado, I think it was, where they just wanted the universal background check. Now they want anybody that's going to assemble a gun to ask permission from the DOJ. They want further background checks. They want all these licensing, and you have to contact the DOJ to do anything. But before it was, we just want this one thing, and that'll be it. And then after a couple years, they figured everybody forgot about everything, and they go one step further. And that's what they've been doing since the 1980s. Every time they wonder why, we fight them. Well, we just want to do this. Well, then a couple years from now, you'll want to take it a step further. And that's exactly what they are doing with these EPA regulations. One step at a time. One step. You take out the coal. You don't have coal to burn. You're forcing these towns, states, to start seeking alternative, more expensive, and not as reliable energy sources. It does not make sense. But listening to Reaver of Common Sense does make sense. You're listening on HBPundit.com. Rebooting Liberty. SHRmedia.com and SHRmedia.com. We'll be right back.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
You have been listening to Reaver Common Sense, hosted by my dad, Jersey Joe. Beware, the Jersey Takeover is here. Every Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can catch the Reaver Common Sense Show, hosted by Jersey Joe, right here on SHRmedia.com and HighPlainsDailyNews.com. Only Jersey can deliver hell like no one else, so consider this your fair warning.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians,
You got a business. That you didn't build that.
a team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean,
Dude, I'm not saying cough for the stupid pro.
Sackhead Clint,
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
also starring Sacco as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, 'cause I'm drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on SHRmedia.com.
Every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, it is the Reaver After Dark, hosted by Jersey Boys, Jersey Joe, and Jersey Crash, right here on SHRmedia.com and HighPlainsDailyNews.com.
Times are dark. The people misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation in confusion needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, High Plains Talk Radio, Live Rebooting Liberty, and YouTube for a unique brand of commentary on the unpleasant blind guide. Because truth is not always pleasant.
If you missed any of the Reaver of Common Sense or Reaver After Dark show,
I don't want to be me. I don't want to be anymore.
just go to Reaver.one. While you're there, click the like button so you can keep up with everything Reaver. Now, back to the show.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
This show contains language that some viewers may find offensive. Listener discretion is advised. And now on to the show. And welcome back to the Reaver of Common Sense. I am your host, Jersey Joe. Trying to make sense out of the senseless? We'll see what we can do. Remember, the Jersey Takeover is here. We have expanded to 2 hours every Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you want to be part of the show, go to shrmedia.com, click on the chat room button, join the conversation. If you want to watch a live broadcast, it's easy. Go to Reaver.one, click on the live stream. Take you right to the YouTube live stream. I don't know what to call it. It's a live broadcast that I do. Thought I'd add it in just for fun. Well, when Representative Vicky Hartzler raised the cost consequence question, the letter she received back from Assistant EPA Administrator McCarthy was very clear. Under the Clean Air Act, decisions regarding the National Ambient Air Quality Standards, the NAAQS, must be based solely on evaluation of the scientific evidence as it pertains to health and environmental effect. Thus, the agency is prohibited from considering cost and setting the NAQS. Now, I think this is the one that the Supreme Court smacked down because, well, they do have to look at the cost. It'd be real easy to make decisions and say we're going to do X, Y, and Z to cut down on pollution, but the technology is not there, or the technology is so expensive that you put thousands upon thousands of businesses out of business. It boggles my mind that these people are such sheep they blindly follow. And at one point, yes, I did believe in all this horse crap. I did believe. But I started looking more and more into it and started paying attention to the weather outside more and more. And it did not add up. Nothing was adding up. I know what it is. They were using the Common Core math. That I got to give Florida credit. They pretty much dumped the Common Core, from my understanding. They have some. They kept some of the requirements and guidelines for it. But I had a parent-teacher conference last week, and one of the things we were talking about, my daughter's having a little trouble with math. I said, well, I would love to help, but I don't understand this new math, and, well, I could teach her the old way, but I know she'll get in trouble. And the teacher turned around and said, no, it's fine. I was like, wait a minute. It was a year or two ago I had to go into the school because my daughter came home going, the teacher told me not to listen to you. Yeah, that went over like a fart in church. But yeah, and also what I find funny is even with the Common Core, when they got to middle school and high school, they had to go back to the math the old way of doing it. So I had to relearn everything. They screwed up our education system so bad that we're going to have a couple decades of kids that don't have the full education that they should have got because they tried this Common Core crap, the Triple C, and it didn't work. It fell flat on its face. Everybody learns differently. So, how did I go off on a tangent on Common Core from... Responding to a question by Representative Gardner, Republican from Colorado, before the House Environment and Energy Committee regarding regulations that would govern industries that recycle coal, ash, and other fossil fuel byproducts for concrete, wallboard, and roofing materials, EPA Administrator stated, we have not directly taken a look at jobs in this proposal. Isn't it maybe high time that those responsible for regulatory oversight take a serious look at the cost and impact? After all, didn't Obama issue an executive order specifically requiring that all new rules issued by federal agency take job creation into account? Consider that current policies are costing hundreds of billions we cannot afford, along with millions of lost employment opportunity, all based extensively on a bogus, politically manufactured climate crisis devoid of any supportive scientific evidence. This is occurring at a time when our gross national deficit, following a ceiling raise, exceeds the size of our GDP, and the U.S. credit rating has been devalued for the first time in history. As I said, some of these articles are a little bit behind, but it also proves my point and shows what's going on. It is a politically manufactured climate crisis. It says it right there, perfect. We have the drought in California. Well, it's not exactly a drought because there is water, but it's being diverted and causing the drought. The water is being diverted for a 2-inch fish that is not even home to that area. This is an experiment by the government to understand about controlling people by controlling the water. And that's what they're doing. They are controlling the water and creating a false drought. They're causing a drought on purpose. That fish is not endangered, is not meant to be in that area. It can be moved to other areas to thrive in those areas without hurting its population and allowing the water to flow back into California to its citizens. Forget about trying to stop natural climate change. You never will control it. It's called Mother Nature. It changes. It is the political climate responsibility for these circumstances we really need to change. That is the threat that presents really serious reason for alarm. And then, like I said, I think it was yesterday. Yeah, yesterday. Hillary Clinton, or at least this came out yesterday, Hillary Clinton was saying we're going to put a lot of coal miners and coal companies out of business. Right there, the Democrats are going to lose a large portion of votes. And Democrats have been hammering the coal industry for years now, but it's not every day that a candidate for president explicitly tells the working men and women who help to keep our lights on that she wants to put them out of work, and that's exactly what Hillary Clinton did at a recent campaign rally in Ohio. We are going to put a lot of coal miners and coal companies out of business. It takes guts to say that right out. That is going to hurt her voter count. Although President Hillary Clinton would throw coal miners out of work, she went on to explain that while she wants to move away from fossil fuel, she doesn't want to move away from the people. I suppose Ohio's coal miners can take solace in the fact that although Hillary plans on putting that out of work, she doesn't plan on forgetting them. It just... And there's still some people that probably work in the coal mine industry that still will vote for her. It boggles my mind. All right. Looking through, see what I want to go to next. Try to do something before the break or take an early break. But I'll probably... Sorry about this. Just going through notes. ClimateGate, the sequel. How we are still being tricked with flawed data on global warming. Something very odd has been going on with the temperature data relayed on by the world scientists. A satellite view of the Antarctic, the Earth's recent temperatures rank in the lowest 3% of all those recorded since the end of the last ice age. Although it has been emerging for 7 years or more, one of the most extraordinary scandals of our time has never hit the headlines. Yet another low example of it lately caught my eye when, in the wake of those excited claims that in 2014 was the hottest year on record, I saw the headlines on a climate blog. Massive tampering with temperatures in South America. The evidence on not a lot of people know that uncovered was indeed striking. Puzzled by those 2014 hottest ever claim, which were led by the most quoted of all 5 official global temperature records. NASA's Goddard Institute for Space Studies, Homewood examines a place in the world where Goddard Institute for Space Studies was showing temperatures to have risen faster than almost anywhere else, a large chunk of South America stretching from Brazil to Paraguay. Noting that the weather stations there were thin on the ground, he decided to focus on 3 rural stations covering a huge area of Paraguay. Goddard Institute for Space Study showed it as having recorded between 1950 and 2014 a particularly steep temperature rise of more than 1.5 degrees Celsius, twice the accepted global increase for the whole of the 20th century. But when Homewood was then able to check Goddard Institute Space Studies figures against the original data from which they were derived, he found that they had been altered. Far from the new graph showing any rise, it showed temperatures, in fact, having declined over those 65 years by a full degree. When he did the same for the other 2 stations, he found the same. And in each case, the original data showed not a rise, but a decline. Homewood, in fact, uncovered yet another example of thousands of pieces of evidence coming to light in recent years that show that something very odd has been going on with the temperature data relays on the world's scientists. And in particular by the UN's IPCC, which has driven the greatest and most costly scare in history, the belief that the world is in the grips of an unprecedented warming. This is also the same group that has been crying Chicken Little and giving us a date and then changing it and changing of the no return date. If we get to this date and we don't do nothing, there'll be no returning. We won't be able to correct the issue. Oh, wait a minute, I forgot to carry the 2. Oh, it's another 2 years down the road. Oh, I forget. It was a 3 I was supposed to carry. And they keep moving that goal line further and further back. They keep failing every time. They keep changing data and expecting us not to notice. They keep changing data and lying to us. There is a lot of money changing hands. There is, in the United States, 22.2 billion reasons to lie and create and manufacture a climate crisis when there is none. You're listening to the Reaver of Common Sense right here on HPPundit.com, RebootingLiberty.com, and SHRmedia.com. We'll be right back.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
You have been listening to Reaver of Common Sense, hosted by my dad, Jersey Joe. Beware, the Jersey Takeover is here. Every Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can catch the Reaver of Common Sense show, hosted by Jersey Joe, right here on SHRmedia.com and HighPlainsDailyNews.com. Only Jersey can deliver hell like no one else, so consider this your fair warning.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians,
You got a business. That you didn't build that.
a team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean,
Dude, I'm not saying cop for the stupid pro.
Sackhead Clint,
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
also starring Sacco as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, cause I'm drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on SHRmedia.com.
Every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, it is the Reaver After Dark, hosted by Jersey Boys, Jersey Joe, and Jersey Crash, right here on SHRmedia.com and HighPlainsDailyNews.com.
Times are dark. The people misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation in confusion needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, High Plains Talk Radio, Live Rebooting Liberty, and YouTube for a unique brand of commentary on the unpleasant blind guide. Because truth is not always pleasant.
If you missed any of the Reaver of Common Sense or Reaver After Dark show,
I don't want to be me. I don't want to be me anymore.
just go to Reaver.one. While you're there, click the like button so you can keep up with everything Reaver. Now, back to the show.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
This show contains language that some viewers may find offensive. Listener discretion is advised. And now on to the show. Welcome back to the Reaver of Common Sense show. I am your host, Jersey Joe, making sense out of the senseless. The Jersey Takeover is here. We've expanded to 2 hours every Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Remember to join the live chat. Go to shrmedia.com. Just click on the chat room button. Join the conversation. If you want to watch the broadcast, go to Reaver.one. Click on the live stream. this whole farce is... And what's funny is they sit around and they think it's totally acceptable to do this. But if we, as the people, try to do anything similar, they would be... all hell of legal ramifications would come raining down on us. How have we come to be told that the global temperatures have suddenly taken a giant leap upward to the highest level in 1,000 years? In fact, it has been no greater than their upward leap between 1860 and 1880 and 1910 and 1940 as part of the gradual natural warming since the world emerged from its century-long little ice age around 200 years ago. This belief has rested entirely on 5 official data records. 3 of these are based on measurements taken on the Earth's surface, versions of which are then compiled by the Goddard Institute of Space Studies, by the United States National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, and the University of East Anglia's Climate Research Unit, working with the Hadley Center for Climate Predictions. Holy shnikes, they're all a mouthful to try to say in one shot. Whew. Oh, and part of the UK Met Office. The other 2 records are derived from measurements made by satellite and then compiled by remote sensing systems in California and the University of Alabama, Huntsville. In recent years, these 2 very different ways of measuring global temperatures have increasingly been showing quite different results. The surface-based record has shown a temperature trend rising up to 2014 as the hottest year since records began. RSS and UAH have, meanwhile, for 18 years been recording no rise in the trend, with 2014 ranking as low as only the 6th warmest since 1997. One surprise is that the 3 surface records, all run by passionate believers in man-made warming, in fact derive most of the land surface data from a single source. This is the Global Historic Climate Network, and managed by the U.S. National Climate Data Center under NOAA, which in turn comes under the U.S. Department of Commerce. But 2 aspects of this system for measuring surface temperatures have long been worrying a growing array of statisticians, meteorologists, and expert science bogglers. One is that the supposedly worldwide network of stations from which GHCN draws its data is flawed. Up to 80% or more of the Earth's surface is not reliably covered at all. Furthermore, around 1990, the number of stations more than halved from 12,000 to less than 6,000, and most of those remaining are concentrated in urban areas and places where studies have shown that thanks to the urban heat island effect, readings can be up 2 degrees higher than in those rural areas where thousands of stations were lost. Whew. A lot of mouthfuls with all these. What it's just coming down to is false data that they keep coming up with. As I said, the people that are running it are very passionate global warming cultists. They're so passionate that they have been caught fudging the data, falsifying data to make it look real. They want it to be real so bad. They want it to be bad or they want it to be real so bad, they're willing to falsify the records. Between the falsification of records and our government trying to force this ideology on us with threat of legal action is just one more step of desperation. It's I don't want to say last grasp because they're going to keep going. It will keep going no matter what. All the data has shown that this is not man-made. That this is not real. It is just Mother Nature. For some reason, they got it in their head. And it's this ideology with everything that almost is liberals is... It's always our fault. It's always humans' fault. We destroy everything. And it's gone to an extent that some of these people even believe that maybe we ought to exterminate the human race so that this planet can survive. Well, this planet's going to survive whether we're here or whether we're not. If we start doing too much to this planet will exterminate us. That I wholehearted on. Falsifying the data only weakens their stance with the people that may be neutral on it. Or even the people that don't believe. Now, if there's solid data that is coming down the pipe to us, real data, it would change a lot of people's mind. But it's going to take years, even if it's real, it would take years to earn that trust back from all the false data, all the false claims, predictions. It would take years, decades, before people would start to trust any information. Like I said, I can't find a damn article and it's ticking me off. There was a head of the IPCC, and his recommendation is that we shut down the IPCC for the simple fact the government's made global warming too political. They sunk their teeth and their hands into it and will not let go. They see how they can pull money out of it. It's like their own little printing press for them, and they don't want to give it up. So that's why he was saying it needs to be shut down and start anew and keep our government out of it. To fill in the huge gaps, those compiling the records have resorted to computerizing infilling, whereby the higher temperatures recorded by the remaining stations are projected out to vast surrounding areas. Dave the Unpleasant Guy just typed in the chat room. Ironically, global warming is the government's own farty cash cow. And it's a moneymaker, not for governments, for their own pockets. And it's also a redistribution of wealth. We've seen it. We're taking money from countries that have it and giving it to countries that don't, so that we can bring them up to be equals. Well, that's the ideology, or the slogan, so to speak, that they use. But still more worrying has been the evidence that even this data has then been subjected to continued adjustments. Earlier temperatures are adjusted downwards, more recent temperatures upward, thus giving the impression that they have risen much more sharply than was shown by the original data. An earlier glaring instance of this was spotted by a statistician who exposed the computer trickery behind that famous hockey stick graph beloved by the IPCC, which shows that, contrary to previous evidence, that 1998 has been the hottest year for 1,000 years. It was in 2007. It was uncovered the wholesale retrospective adjustments made to U.S. surface records between 1920 and 1999, compiled by Goddard Institute of Space Studies, then run by the outspoken climate activist James Hansen. These reversed an overall cooling trend into an 80-year upward trend. Even Hansen had previously accepted that the Dust Bowls of the 1930s was the hottest U.S. decade of the entire 20th century. By far, the most comprehensive account of this wholesale corruption of proper science is a paper written for the Science and Public Policy Institute, Surface Temperature Records, Policy-Driven Deception, by two veteran U.S. meteorologists. And one of the more provocative points arising from the debate over those claims that 2014 was the hottest year ever came from the Canadian academic Dr. Ball, when in a recent post on the WUWT, he used the evidence of ice core data to argue that the Earth's recent temperatures rank in the lowest 3% of all those recorded since the end of the last ice age 10,000 years ago. In reality, the implications of such distortion of the data go much further than just representing one of the most bizarre aberrations in the history of science. The fact that our politicians have fallen for all the scary shenanigans has given Britain the most suicidally crazy energy policy, useless windmills and all, of any country in the world. But at least, if they're hoping to see that the Universal Climate Treaty signed in Paris can be pretty sure that is no more going to happen than that 2014 was the hottest year in history. And as we know, we hold our nose. That treaty is I don't believe we signed on to it because Congress hasn't passed it yet. But I could see push for it to be passed. Obama's already trying to redo regulations to coincide with the treaty. Exactly, and that was brought up about the mini ice age. And yeah, after a mini ice age, we are going to warm up. And it's hard to understand. And Dave is saying in the chat room, basically it's hard to understand and pick out which temperatures do we believe in. It's been messed with so much. It's hard to tell what's the truth and what's false. And that's the issue we're having with believing any of this that's going on. But one thing you can believe is that you're listening to Reaver Common Sense right here on HPPundit.com. rebootingliberty.com, and shrmedia.com. We'll be right back.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
You have been listening to Reaver Common Sense, hosted by my dad, Jersey Joe. Beware, the Jersey Takeover is here. Every Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can catch the Reaver Common Sense Show, hosted by Jersey Joe, right here on shrmedia.com and highplainsdailynews.com. Only Jersey can deliver hell like no one else, so consider this your fair warning.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians,
You got a business. That you didn't build that.
a team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean,
Dude, I'm not saying cough stupid, bro.
Sackhead Clint,
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
also starring Sacco as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, cause I'm drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on shrmedia.com.
Every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, it is the Reaver After Dark, hosted by Jersey Boys, Jersey Joe, and Jersey Crash, right here on shrmedia.com and highplainsdailynews.com.
Times are dark. The people misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation in confusion needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, High Plains Talk Radio, Live Rebooting Liberty, and YouTube for a unique brand of commentary on the unpleasant blind guide. Because truth is not always pleasant.
If you missed any of the Reaver of Common Sense or Reaver After Dark show,
I don't want to be me. I don't want to be me anymore.
just go to Reaver.one. While you're there, click the like button so you can keep up with everything Reaver. Now, back to the show.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
This show contains language that some viewers may find offensive. Listener discretion is advised. And now on to the show. And welcome back to the Reaver of Common Sense, where I'm trying to make sense out of the senseless, and I'm your host, Jersey Joe. The Jersey Takeover is here. We have expanded to 2 hours every Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you want to be a part of the conversation, just go to shrmedia.com, click on the chat room button, join the conversation. If you want to watch a live broadcast, go to Reaver.one, click on the live stream, and there you go. Yesterday and today, we've been talking about the global warming farce that's going on. And it's just mind-numbing that this is still going on. Trying to figure out. I'm going through different articles. I forget which ones I read. All right, that's the one I did. All right. All right. Give me 1 second. No, Dave, and I agree. Those hand tools for measurements are not going to be as accurate as what we had now. But I also sometimes what they had back then is better than what we had now. We could not build the pyramids as perfect as they built them and as accurate as they built them and to last as long as they have. I mean, yes, we build these huge skyscrapers, but those skyscrapers won't be around 1,000, 2,000 years from now. We cannot hit that perfect line like they've done, lining up with just hand tools the 3 pyramids on Giza to line up with Orion's belt. It just is spectacular, just with hand tools. Yeah, and look at the Wall of China, the Great Wall of China. There was no computers, no nothing. They did everything by hand. And I agree, the temperatures aren't going to be exact from 4 different types of measurements back then. But yeah, we cannot build, with everything that's going on, we cannot build what they did in the past to last as long, to be as accurate. I wish I can get over there just to see it with my own eyes one time, like pyramids of Giza and all that. It's hard to comprehend how they did that. And then what's funny is with the Great Wall of China, was built how many thousands of years ago, but yet they say they can't build a wall in between United States and Mexico. But going back to the topics of the global warming cult, I'll give you the top 10 global warming lies that may shock you. Global warming alarmists frequently make false and deplorable assertions, but the Environmental Defense Fund recently fundraising mailer, 10 global warming effects that may shock you, may well set a new low. However, climate realists can make lemonade from EDF's preposterous mailer by using it to show open-minded people the difference between global warming alarmists and global warming truth tellers. EDF has assembled what is believed to be the 10 most powerful global warming assertions in the alarmist playbook. Yet each assertion either backfires on the alarmists or has been proven outright false. While reading how flawed EDF's assertions are, remember, these are the very best arguments global warming alarmists can make. Open-minded readers should have very little difficulty dismissing the mythical global warming crisis after examining the top 10 assertions in the alarmist playbook. Alarmist assertion number 1. Bats dropped from the sky. In 2014, a scorching summer heat wave caused more than 100,000 bats to literally drop dead and fall from the sky in Queensland, Australia. The facts? Global warming alarmists preferred electrically sourced wind power. Kills nearly 1 million bats every year, to say nothing of the more than 500,000 birds killed every year in the United States alone. This appalling death toll occurs every year even while wind power produces just 3% of U.S. electricity. Ramping up wind power to 10, 20, or 30 of the U.S. electrical production would likely increase annually bat kills to 10 to 30 million every year. Killing 30 million bats every year in response to dubious claims that global warming might once in a great while kill 100,000 bats makes no sense. And this is what I was talking about earlier with, the hydroelectrical, the dams, the windmill, and that's killing birds and all sorts of flying creatures. And you also have that thermal, a little skyscraper. Well, the problem also, because Dave's saying they'll learn along with the birds to avoid windmills. The problem is they put these windmills up, and then you got birds flying into them, which they have no control over. Then they get fined for that happening. And if a bald eagle goes in there, holy shnikes, there's even more. It's something out of their control, and it's been pushed by the government for these windmills to be put up. But now we're going to fine the windmills because it's killing birds after they were told to put them up by the government. It just blows my mind. Just as importantly, alarmists present no evidence that global warming caused the summer heat wave in a notorious hot desert near the equator. To the contrary, climate change theory and objective data show our recent global warming is occurring primarily in winter toward the poles and at night. Australia's highest recorded temperature occurred more than a half a century ago, and only 2 of Australia's 7 states have set their all-time temperature records during the past 40 years. Indeed, Queensland's 2014 heat wave paled in comparison to the 1972 heat wave that occurred 42 years of global warming ago. If global warming caused the 2014 Queensland heat wave, why wasn't it as severe as the 1972 Queensland heat wave? Blaming every single summer heat wave or extreme heat event on global warming is a stale, discredited tactic in the alarmist playbook. Objective science proves extreme weathers events such as hurricanes, tornadoes, heat waves, and droughts have become less frequent and less severe as the result of Earth's recent warming. And yes, Dave brought up about the ice packs and the icebergs. There's just as many. They're not melting away and going to cause the flooding of the whole world. They're still there. But you can't blame every time something happens. And which, as I said earlier, that's what they do. And it's a standing joke between me and my dad that we'll be working on something that doesn't go right and we'll just go, global warming caused that. Something broke in the house, global warming caused that. Lawnmower won't start, global warming. I'm yammering on my radio show. Global warming caused it. That is how ridiculous these alarmists sound. And if they could only hear themselves, they would sit back and laugh and say, yeah, we do sound like idiots. The alarmist assertion number 2, Lyme's disease spreads. Lyme disease spreads. Warmer temperatures are contributing to the range, expansion, and severity of tick-borne Lyme disease. Oh, there went my video. Let's see if I can get it back up and going. Oh, that was great. Nope. Seems my video got shut down for one reason or another, and I don't know why. So, the show's almost to a complete. I'm not going to go through the process to start it back up. So I do apologize to anybody that was watching it. That's the second time today it kicked out of me. I had everything set up prior to the show, and then it went... And I have no idea why. That is absolutely weird. I don't know. But Lyme disease spread. Warmer temperatures are contributing to the range, expansion, and severity of tick-borne Lyme disease. The fact, Lyme disease is much more common in northern, cooler regions of the United States than in southern, warmer regions, asserting without any supporting data or evidence that a disease that is primary in cool climates will become more prevalent as a result of global warming defies objective data and common sense. Moreover, a team of scientists extensively researched Lyme disease climate and habitat and reported in the peer-reviewed science journal EcoHealth the only environmental variable consistently associated with increased Lyme disease risk and incident was the presence of forest. Grant, alarmists can argue that forests are thriving under global warming with the result that forest-dwelling ticks will also benefit. However, expanding forests are universally and properly viewed as environmentally beneficial. And you can look at, we're having this expansion, as I talked about earlier, of the forests. They're expanding, they're growing exponentially because there was a slight higher amount of CO2. More CO2 causes plants to grow faster, giving off more oxygen. It's that whole symbiotic relationship of everything. It's a balance. When one gets too high, it gets compensated. If the oxygen levels get too high, the plants aren't going to grow as fast and are going to die off. And then what happens? CO2 goes back up. Then the plants start growing. It's a symbiotic relationship. That is what this earth does. It's ever changing, ever fluctuating, never static. And that's what these scientists and these people think they have in it. They don't like change. But weather in the earth is ever changing. But the one thing that is not going to change is that you're listening to the Reaver of Common Sense right here on HPPundit.com, RebootingLiberty.com, and SHRmedia.com. We'll be right back after this message.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
You have been listening to Reaver of Common Sense, hosted by my dad, Jersey Joe. Beware, the Jersey Takeover is here. Every Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can catch the Reaver Common Sense Show, hosted by Jersey Joe, right here on shrmedia.com and highplainsdailynews.com. Only Jersey can deliver hell like no one else, so consider this your fair warning.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians,
You got a business. That you didn't build that.
a team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean,
Dude, I'm not saying cop for the stupid pro.
Sackhead Clint,
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
also starring Sacco as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, cause I'm drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on shrmedia.com.
Every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, it is the Reaver After Dark, hosted by Jersey Boys, Jersey Joe, and Jersey Crash, right here on shrmedia.com and highplainsdailynews.com.
Times are dark. The people misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation in confusion needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, High Plains Talk Radio, Live Rebooting Liberty, and YouTube for a unique brand of commentary on the unpleasant blind guide. Because truth is not always pleasant.
If you missed any of the Reaver of Common Sense or Reaver After Dark show,
I don't want to be me. I don't want to be anymore.
just go to Reaver.one. While you're there, click the like button so you can keep up with everything Reaver. Now, back to the show.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
This show contains language that some viewers may find offensive. Listener discretion is advised. And now on to the show. And welcome back to the Reaver of Common Sense, where I'm trying to make sense out of the senseless. And it's becoming harder every day. It's... One thing I do want to bring up, today is primary, Super Tuesday. We have primaries in several states for the Republican. Check to see if it's in your state, and if it is, make sure you go and vote. I don't care who you vote for. Go and vote. Make your voice heard. That is the one main voice that we have as a people, is our voice to vote. And as I said, I don't care who you vote for, as long as you vote. Because that candidate, as long as it's the one you want, is the right candidate. Don't vote because of what your friends want. Don't vote because of what I want. Don't vote for what Fox wants, or CNN, or MSNBC. Vote for who you want. And then that is the perfect candidate every time, when you vote for who you want. Not for everybody else. Have your voice heard. I don't care who it is. Get out and vote. If you're in one of the, I think, 5 states. It's Ohio, Illinois, Florida. That's all I can remember. So we're going over the top 10 lies of the global warming alarmists. I call them cultists because to me they act as a cult. They're as rabid as a cult. And I believe if they were told to drink the punch out of the bowl, they would do so willingly. Alarmist assertion number 3, national security threatened. The impact of climate change are expected to act as a threat multiplier in many of the world's most unstable regions, exacerbating drought and other natural disaster, as well as leading to food, water, and other resource shortage that may spur mass migration. The facts. The alarmist assertion national security threat depends on assertion that 1, global warming is causing a reduction in food and water supply, and 2, migration of people to places with more food and water will increase risk of military conflict. Objective facts refuted both assertions. Regarding food and water supplies, global crop production has soared as the earth gradually warms. Atmospheric carbon dioxide is essential to plant life, and adding more of it to the atmosphere enhances plant growth and crop production. Longer grower season and fewer frost events also benefit plant growth and crop production. As this column has repeatedly documented, global crops set new production records virtually every year as our planet modestly warms. If crop shortage cause national security threats and global warming increases crop production, then global warming benefits rather than jeopardizes national security. The same holds true for water supplies. Objective data shows there has been a gradual increase in global precipitation, raining. God, my tongue is not working today. Precipitation and soil moisture. As our planet warms, warmer temperatures evaporate more water from the ocean, which in turn simulates more frequent precipitation over continental landmass. The result of this enhanced precipitation is an improvement in soil moisture at almost all sites in the global soil moisture data bank. Gee, many crickets, I'd even... No, it wasn't the lips. I got a new tongue the other day from that cheap knockoff Walmart store. If declining precipitation and declining soil moisture are military threat multipliers, then global warming is creating a safer, more peaceful world. Alarmist assertion number 4. Sea levels rising. Warmer temperatures are causing glaciers and polar ice sheets to melt, increasing the amount of water in the world's sea and ocean. I'm going to go on with his facts in a moment. But it's funny because it recently was added that, yes, there hasn't been a rise in the ocean level because the soil underneath the ocean is absorbing more of the water that's being increased. That one right there, it just... The soil underneath the ocean has already absorbed as much water it can absorb. If not, adding more to it doesn't make it absorb more. It would keep absorbing without even adding more. That is the most asinine excuse that I've heard for the lack of the sea levels rising. And with the article the facts, the pace of sea level rise remained relatively constant throughout the 20th century. Even as global temperatures gradually rose, there has similarly been no increase in the pace of sea level rise in recent decades. Utilizing 20th century technology, humans effectively adapted to the global sea level rise. Now, what I also find funny is, in a lot of areas, the sea level has been pulling away from the landmass, and landmass rising in height. Pretty much everything they come up with is the biggest farce and bullshit I have ever heard. The alarmist assertion that polar ice sheets are melting is simply false. Although alarmists frequently point to the modest recent shrinkage in the Arctic ice sheet, that decline has been completely offset by ice sheets expansion in the Antarctica. Cumulatively, polar ice sheets have not declined at all since NASA satellite instruments began precisely measuring them 35 years ago. We've gone over this argument recently, and I brought out, you had the scientists going to Antarctica to prove that the ice is receding in Antarctica, and got their ship stuck in record amount of ice and had to be flown out of there by helicopter because the icebreakers that are made for that area could not get into that area because the icebreakers would have got stuck in ice. It's a simple concept. They still would not admit that there was more ice. They scheduled another one for 2015, and they had to cancel because there was too much ice. When do you finally say to yourself, well, we seem to be wrong on that theory? And that's science. And that's what I really wanted to discuss with this whole piece yesterday and today. It is science. Science is an ever-changing theory. Science is not one dead stop, go no further. Science is ever-changing. Because they proved that the world was flat many, many decades ago. And there's still people that believe in the world is flat theory. And exactly, science is never settled. It's an ever-changing philosophy. And they want to try to make it through legal threat, so they can keep on stuffing their pockets with money. With anything, if you are true to your way, you do not need to force people to do it. Whether you're talking about the healthcare in this country or whether it's in global warming. If you're such just in your cause, you do not need to force onto people. Alarmist assertion number 5. Allergies worsen. Allergy sufferers beware. Climate change could cause pollen count to double in the next 30 years. The warming temperature causes advancing weed growth, a bane for allergy sufferers. The facts. Pollen is a product and mechanism of plant reproduction and growth. As such, pollen counts will rise and fall along with plant health and vegetation intensity. Any increase in pollen will result of a greener biosphere with more plant growth. Similar to the alarmist argument discussed above that expanding forests will create more habitat for ticks that spread Lyme disease, alarmists here are taking overwhelmingly good news about global warming, improving plant health, and making it seem this good news is actually bad news because healthier plants mean more pollen. And yes, I agree with Dave. All the sneezing is because we are allergic to the bull crap coming out of the mouth of these cultists. And do not kid yourself. This is nothing more. Global warming is nothing more than a cult. It is nothing more than David Koresh. Except you have Al Gore and Obama leading the charge and pushing a philosophy that has more holes than Swiss cheese. Now, what's funny is I did 2 days on this. It was a 2-parter. And I still have more information. I think I could just run show after show after show probably on this subject and keep going. But unfortunately, I would get bored of doing the same thing over and over again. But I will save it for another time because this is the second time I have touched on this subject in 2 years. When I first started, I did a special show on guns, Democrats, and global warming. I have redone the gun show a couple months ago. I have now redid the global warming. I will expand on it. I don't know exactly when, but I will let you know in advance. And with that, remember, get out there. Get out there if you're in a state that has their primaries today. Get out there and vote for whoever you want. With that, have a great day. You were listening to the Reaver of Common Sense with the host, Jersey Joe, right here on HBPundit.com, RebootingLiberty.com, and SHRmedia.com. Take it easy.
I've been around this world, yet I see no end. All shall fade to black again and again. This storm that's broken me, my only friend, yeah. In this river, all shall fade to black. In this river,